What is good, YouTube? It's AJ Boogie. I'm back at it again, and I'm bringing that game 1 of the finals heat. Last night was so crazy. There are so many things we need to talk about. We need to talk about the referees. We need to talk about J.R. Smith, and we have to talk about Kevin Durant. Let's start with the referees and that block/charge and call. I hate saying this in sports, and I don't want to say this in sports, that the referees change the game. Because I'm a referee. I've refereed basketball, I've refereed football, and I've umpired baseball, so I'm not biased at all. But what the referees did last night in that NBA game was breaking the rules. Talking about that charge/block call. What happened was Kevin Durant drove the lane. LeBron came over, and the original call was the charge. But the referees wanted to review it to see if he was inside the restricted area. Now, I can tell you last night, as I'm sure all you guys can tell last night, LeBron was nowhere close to the restricted area. He was more closer to the semi-dotted circle than he was in the restricted area. And that's why the referees went to review it. So it's either he was there in the restricted area, or no, he wasn't in the restricted area. And anyone could tell he was out of it. He wasn't even close. But as we all know, they reversed their call from a charge to a blocking foul. Here's my problem. When you use replay, it's for a definitive answer. It's either yes or it's no. It's either he was in the restricted zone or no, he wasn't in the restricted zone. You can't go to replay on a judgment call, on a block or charge call. You can't do it. I was watching the game last night. I thought it was a block. Some of my other buddies thought it was a charge, which proves my point that it's a judgment call and it's not something you could say, now that I look at it, I think it's this. The NBA referees just opened Pandora's box. If you're going to replay judgment calls, you're going to have a way bigger problem in the future. And the fact that you have never done this before in a regular season game, a summer league game, but you decide to do it in game 1 of the NBA finals, it's a definitive call. It's either he's in the restricted zone or he's not. It's either his foot was on the line or it wasn't. He was out of bounds, he wasn't out of bounds. If we're going to start using replay on blocks and charges, we need to replay the 2 times that Kevin Durant was stripped clean and he got 2 fouls. And like I said, I don't want to blame the refs for the Cavs losing, but that call was huge. Instead of game 1 of the finals, Cavs versus Warriors, it became the charge that got turned into a block by replay. And that's all we're talking about today. Now, let's get into the other issue of J.R. Smith. I love Swisher. I love the Henny God. But that was as bad as bonehead play that you're ever going to find in an NBA game history. I could tell right after that. That look that JR had on his face, that look LeBron had on his face, they knew it was over. You gave the Warriors a chance, and now they're going to take it. And what they do, they kicked your butt in overtime. When I was watching the game yesterday with all my buddies, we're all Cavs fans, and we knew at that point it was over. We said it before even overtime started. The Cavs are going to fold because this was their game, and then the referees took it away. Now, let's talk about the happiest man on planet Earth today, right now, Kevin Durant, because he should be the headline of this story. It should be Cavs win the game. KD is nowhere to be found. He's invisible. Listen to these stats. Kevin Durant finished 8 of 22 from the floor and was completely invisible in the 4th quarter and in overtime. You want to know his 4th quarter stats? 0 for 4, 3 points, 2 from the free throw line, and 1 point that was a gift from the referees. The guy didn't even shoot in overtime. But this is the guy who's better than LeBron James, right? This is the guy who got 51 dropped on his head by the King. But he's still better, though. LeBron, while Kevin Durant was guarding him, was 10 of 15. KD couldn't stop a nosebleed from last night. You want to know what happened after the game? LeBron got texts and phone calls. One from Chris Paul saying, "I knew the score was tied." Ben Simmons, "I knew the score was tied." Magic Johnson, "That's all the heat I got for today. AJ Boogie, I'm out." Boom!